running over the same old ground, and how we found the same old fears. Wish you were here.
Once again, my name is Logan, and this is Decode Your Reality, and today I'm going to be breaking down and decoding Wish You Were Here. Of course, you're hearing the music, a great rendition of it, of the amazing album Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. And, you know, listen, Pink Floyd, it's got a lot of nuggets. If you haven't seen my Welcome to the Machine decode, please check that one out. But these guys were truth tellers in so many ways, and this is absolutely no exception. So we're going to be breaking down this song, Wish You Were Here. And here we go, folks. Here are the topics that we're going to be getting into. The zero position, the intro, which is what I'm doing now. I'm not going to be doing any decoding methods this time around. So if you're new to this, just kind of follow along. It's like putting a puzzle together. And if you're a returning subscriber, of course, thank you so much for your support. In the number 1 position, Pink Goldfish. Number 2, Fishing. Number 3, 153. Number 4, the Nephilim. Number 5, Alice and the Rabbit. Number 6, the Hook. And number 7, Pisces. So those are the topics of conversation during this presentation. It's going to be a part 2. I had so many more slides I wanted to fit into this, but I'm trying to keep these a little bit shorter. So here we go, folks. Getting into the number 1 position, the Pink Goldfish. We're going to be breaking down the album, the song. You know, this album came out in 1975, September 12th. The 255th day of the year. But notice the card that's associated with this release date, the Queen Clubs card. And how I found that is, of course, going to the chart. Here's the boilerplate chart. September 12th is the Queen Clubs card. Your birthday is going to be in here, and you should know what your birthday is, and your friends and family and partners. Gives you a better way of life. But anyway, September 12th is the 25th card, the Queen Clubs card, which is, you know, this is an air card, so it denotes the mind of the cosmos. Notice it's attached to the 25th element, manganese. Now, manganese is a very special element because it's considered magnetic. That's where the word came from. And when we go to the Royal Society of Chemistry, and you'll notice that it has a picture of a cow with a magnet there. And if you go click on the actual element itself, you'll notice that the word is derived from magnet. It's magnetic, manganese. So the interpretation of this album, this song, is magnetic. What are the magnets for? We're going to get into that, folks. What are the fish for? We're going to get into that as well. Notice when you say manganese, it equals the number 32. We're going to get into that as well. And it equals the number 79, which is gold. And in the beginning of this song, during the intro of this presentation, he was saying that we're 2 lost souls swimming in a fish bowl year after year. That's what we're the fish, folks. We're in the machine. That's why Welcome to the Machine, if you saw that decode, we live inside the constructs of a machine, and we're fish. We live in an aquarium. We're going to get into that. But are we being harvested for gold? You know, alchemy is led into gold. That's what it is. And of course, you know, that's where you get the story of the Anunnaki and the mining for gold. And is that really the makeup of our world? I mean, are we really part of the fallen angels? We're going to get into that as well. And our redemption is turning ourselves to spiritual gold and maybe moving on and graduating to the next level. We'll see, folks. We will see. So, the 25th card in the deck, the Queen Clubs card, is directly related to the 34th card in the tarot, the Queen of Wands. And, again, just to go real quick, if you want these graphics, these are the graphics I've created. If you want these, send me an email and I'll send them to you. Just pay it forward. I don't want anything in return. My email is decodeyourreality@gmail.com. So if you follow into this and you notice here's the Queen of Wands card, the 34th card in the deck. And we're going to get back to that. But notice that the word goldfish equals the number 34. And this song, part of it says we're lost souls swimming in a fish bowl year after year. The lyrics on this are insanely crazy and so genius. And again, as I always say, folks, man's being used as people. I mean, they wrote the songs, but, who's inside the mind of the people that are writing it? Are we in control of the thoughts that we download, or are our thoughts in control of us to tell the story? And I believe man's being used. To what level, I don't know, folks. So I've been getting asked that question a lot. I don't know. But I've shown it over and over that there are too many things that we could rub off as coincidence, but nonetheless, there is no such thing as coincidence. So anyway, goldfish is 34, matching that of the Queen Wands, matching that of the Queen Clubs, which is the actual release date of this album. Goldfish. We are goldfish. So, notice that the word fish and gold is 17. And the 17th card in the tarot is the star card. And, that's us. We're all born as stars in the fishbowl. We live in a bowl. We live in an aquarium. We live in the sea of space. We breathe oxygen, but it has precipitation. It's water. We don't need gills. We got lungs. So, what's behind the fish? And we bring in theology into this because, it's part of this, the story anyway. And again, I'm not here to force any of your beliefs. I'm so neutral myself personally because there are way too many avenues to go down. There's not really one fixed way to say, yeah, there it is, there it is. So the game of life is what we're playing. And there's a lot of moving parts to this. Notice, the ancient Israelite God of the Bible, the YHWH or YHVH, that's a 17. That matches fish and gold. Is this character harvesting us for gold? And recycle. Folks, when you go fishing, do you fish? I used to fish a little bit when I was a kid. I was actually afraid of fish because I got poked by one when I was trying to grab it and take it off the hook, and it kind of just... Anyway, I'd throw them back. I didn't like to clean them. I didn't like to cut the heads off. I thought it was gross. But, are you a fisherman? And, folks, there are so many living fish in the seas. And man fish those seas. And, you either keep the fish and eat them, or you release them, the catch and release. And is that what our life's all about, the catch and release? Are we part of this reincarnation, incarnation? We just get recycled back into the box. It's a possibility. It's a very good possibility. Or do we reach this gold status and we get to the next level and don't have to come back as another avatar? That's a possibility. But anyway, YHWH, YHVH, Yodevahe, that's a 17. And, 17 is a prime number. It's the 7th prime number. And the 7th color in the rainbow is violet. It's violet, and that's 26. It says linked to nitrogen. But it's 26, and that's a match of the original Hebrew spelling of the Yod He Vav He, the YHVH. It's 26. It's 26, folks. And, when you really look at what element that is, that's iron. And what's interesting and special about iron, folks, we have it in our blood. We have it in our blood. A lot of people, they get anemia, they get low iron, and, it makes our blood red. And I want you to notice, the length of the album is 44 minutes and 11 seconds long, and 44 plus 11 is 55, and that's iron. Tied to the yod, tied to the 17 and the fish. And this song talks about two lost souls swimming in a fish bowl. We're two lost souls. And the two lost souls are our yin yang. It's our DNA, our double helix. And we're going to get into that. Even the label of this album is called Harvest. What does that word mean? Harvest. The harvest. The harvest season. Like the fall of man is considered the harvest. What does that mean to you? That word harvest. Is this energy, this entity, is it really the creator of this cosmos? And does it harvest us? Then you get into Greek and the ambrosia and food for the gods. And, I believe we're energetic food, folks. I really do. That's my spin on it. That's my take on it. But it doesn't matter what I believe. It's what you believe. But what are the odds, folks, of these? Look at these harvest, and it's 26. It matches that. And then you go back to here and the 17 and fish, and we're fish. Two lost souls swimming in a fish bowl. Think about it. Think about it. I put this out before, just this one on the goldfish. It's one of the most commonly kept aquarium fish. This is the actual scientific name of the goldfish. And, goldfish is a 34. It's a double 17. And that's, interesting because, again, it matches the star card, and we're all stars born into this world. This card has a lot of symbology to it. And again, alchemy is turning lead into gold, and we're lead. We're light slowed down into matter. And, we're going to get into the fallen angels because it's quite possible. I believe we're all descendants of that somehow, some way. Somehow, some way, that story is starting to have more merit to it through my research. So nonetheless, here it is, folks. This is the scientific name for the goldfish. Notice it's a 46. It's a crown. Crown equals 23. Blood equals the number 23. We're directly related to this fish, this simple little goldfish. That's what we're linked to. And, this is our DNA. What I believe to be our DNA. Because two lost souls, that means the two DNA, the double helix. The yin yang, the Jesus Lucifer energy. And that's where you get into, the fight of Michael and the dragon together, fighting. They both equal the number 22. And we're going to get into this because we know in the Taurian Bible, Jesus was a fisherman of men. That's what he did. That was the story that was created. Remember, folks, it's a story. I don't know if there was really a person there that was this guy. And his real name wasn't even this. It's been kind of changed. And you can't prove which one got more merit because no one was there when all these stories were written. It's just an opinion. All we can do is decode it and try to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So here it is, folks. Here's the big standout for me. This is what I was actually decoding Fishermen of Men, which I'm going to be doing a decode straight up just on that. Matthew 4:19, and I'm going to be showing a little bit of that. But there's so much content. And then it led me into this. This song popped in my head of Wish You Were Here, because I remember this part of the song. And as fate would have it, as I mentioned to every one of you, if you have a song pop in your head, there's a reason why. You know, the subtleties, notice it's 39 letters. 39 is linked to the Christ. Christ through alchemology is 39. Jesus is 18. That's 39 because argon, the 18th element, has an atomic weight of 39. So, you know, are we these lost souls swimming in a fishbowl? Notice it's a 157, and that's a prime number. 157 is the 37th prime number. And when you go into the string of pi, where I love to measure everything in the string of pi because there's only one way to observe the numbers, and that's just through the infinite potential of all the numbers inside that circle. And we live on a circle, a sphere, whether you want to believe it's round, flat, concave, up, down, sideways, square, it's a circle. And you'll notice the 37, which is linked to this two lost souls swimming in a fish bowl, is found at the 46th decimal digit of pi. 46 and 47, it occupies both of those. And that's the element rubidium. And rubidium is tied to the Christ. Check out my Christ battery decoded. It's tied to that. But because 37 is 46 and 47, it's directly linked to the tree of life and the tree of knowledge, which is just our yin-yang. It's our DNA. It's our double helix. The sin wave, the sine wave, part of the dragon that circles through our body, the kundalini, that's just the light and dark inside of us. Our ego and our spirit, that's the tree of life and tree of knowledge. 46 and 47. This is the original spelling, by the way, from the Old Testament. That's where the story came from. And, you know, when you bring in the string of pi, 46 is at the 19th. That's battery. That's for the tree of life. And then the tree of knowledge is just add another 1 to it. It's the 119. And then, you know, here it is. I mean, our lives are intertwined with the ego and the spirit. The two brothers, or the brother and sister, if you want to think Lucifer's Lucy. You know, tetragrammaton's the box that we live in, and the tetragrammaton is the name of the ancient Israelite God of the Bible, the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, which is tied to the fish. So the title of the song, Wish You Were Here. God, it's one of my favorite Pink Floyd songs. Is a 64. And, you know, the reason why you see the double helix in the background, that's our DNA, folks. Because our DNA contains 64 possible codons. That's what our DNA contains. The possibilities. If you study the human design system, which you should know your human design, 5 types in there, there's 64 gates. That's the 64 numbers in the I Ching. There's 64 squares on a chessboard. We live on the chessboard. We play the game of life. And when you really observe this element, I'm going to be showing this. Zinc has several masses or weights. And 64 is one of them. And it's directly tied in the string of pi because the 30 is found at the 64th decimal digit of pi, 64 and 65. The 30 is the protons in zinc. And that's tied to our DNA. So wish you were here. Where's here? We're in the fishbowl, folks. We're in the sea of space, which is water, precipitation. We breathe oxygen. And I'm going to be doing a decode on this, folks. The Matthew 4:19, follow me. I'm going to make you fishers of men. Here we're getting into fishing now. And when you break down Matthew 4:19, notice it's beryllium and potassium. 4:19, beryllium, potassium. And when you do the alchemy of those two elements, you get the number 47.976. 47 is the standout on the masculine side of the decimal. That's the left side of the decimal. Feminine is right. 47 is linked to these words, folks. Tetragrammaton, the ancient Israelite God of the Bible. And Jesus is saying he's going to, no one gets to the Father except through me. Is Jesus the Tetragrammaton, or is that his Father? And is the Tetragrammaton the planet Saturn, Chronos, Father Time? Because it's directly linked to the black box. If you study the Old Testament, it's all linked to Saturn. It's all Saturn worship. So when he's fishing for men, and you go and you side with that character, and you give over your life to that character, where are you going? Will you get recycled back in the box? Will you graduate to the next level if there is such a thing? What's next after you leave this place? Do you exit the matrix? How do you get out of the matrix? Do you become a fisher of men? A lot of questions. We're getting close, though. But folks, this is really what bothers me. And I use that word loosely. Because these two nouns and places, they're crooked. They're corrupt. I don't trust it at all. I don't trust it. Nothing. Because I know what they're all about. I know what their backbone is, their foundation. It's crooked as crooked can be. Sure, there's probably some good people in there, what we consider good or bad, but it's crooked. I don't like their laws and rules and regulations. I'm sure you don't either. But yeah, here we are looking at what runs it. Go study Romans 13:1 and Isaiah 4. They use the Bible to do the inaugurations. Think about that. Who's running these entities? Think about it. When you take the 47.97, that's the most balanced of this number, 47.976, but if you balance it out, it's 47.97. When you add that up, you get 144, which is 144,000. Folks, if you follow theology, that story is those are the chosen ones that will be, in heaven, reigning by God in the throne and all that stuff. If you fancy that stuff. But obviously, that's a very small number. So it's very watered down. It's very vanilla. And then when you go into the string of pi, the 419, it appears at the 36th decimal digit. Now, Jesus Christ, just so you know, in numerology equals 36. Jesus is 18, Christ is 18, straight up. 36. Notice it occupies 3 spaces because 419 is 3 digits, 36, 37, and 38. When you add that up, you're going to get the number 111. And we know 1.21 gigawatts, a bolt of lightning, that equals 111. Antimony in English, the all-seeing eye of Horus, 111. And that's where the fish comes into play, folks. The born-again Christian symbol, which is just the Vesica Pisces, which is just the merging of worlds, which then you get into 10 and the 119, and there's obviously many layers, but look at how massive this tie-in is right here. The 111 appears at the 153rd decimal digit of pi. And how many fish did they catch when they threw the nets overboard? 153. And just to go back to that again, it's right there. 419 in the string of pi occupies those 3 numbers, and it equals 111. And then, of course, that appears at the 153rd decimal digit. And now we're talking about this John 21 verses 11. And then, you get into the Vesica Pisces, you're going to see the 153. It's in the measurement of the Vesica Pisces. It's in there. You should all know that. If you haven't seen my decode on the Vesica Pisces, check it out. It's in there. It's the merging of worlds. What's the merge? What's going to happen in the merge? So let's break it down a little bit more. John 21 verses 11. The story is it was the Apostle Peter. And Peter, his symbol is the upside down cross. The Pope of the Vatican is known as St. Peter. That's why there's St. Peter's Square. It's the upside down cross. And that just means, that's the hangman. That's us stuck in the fishbowl. That's what it interprets to me. And when this is how it was actually spelled out. 153, and. Don't even forget the ands, those are filler words. 153, look at what it equals, folks. 196, that's gold. And we're goldfish. We're two lost souls swimming in the fish bowl year after year. We're being mined for gold. Is the gold our salvation? Is that what it really is all about? Look, folks, in this game of life, from all the research that I do, I live in a state of neutrality because there's so many possibilities. But in that state of neutrality, I strive really hard not to judge, and I just love the world. I help the world. I'm a very big giver. Service to the world. Love everybody as best as you can. That's the way you'll win the game if there is such a thing. So, 153 is 196, that's gold, and then it's 74 in the Chaldean, that's a match of arsenic, which is the crucifixion. So, what are you seeing here? But I think it's crystal clear what it means. Tied to wish you were here. So then we get into the cards, the tarot cards, because I like to measure it this way. It gives us some symbols to observe from. What do they tell us, the tarot? Well, the 21st card is the World card, the last card in the major arcana. It's the last one, and it has the four faces of God talked about in Ezekiel 1 verses 10. The four fixed signs in astrology, the ox, lion, eagle, man, and then it has, the Vesica Pisces right here, and then the androgynous figure on the other side. And then, the 11th card is the Justice card, and that's one of the Jesus cards, because it's tied to sodium. And if you haven't seen my Christ battery, that's the sodium. Christ is the salt bridge tied to the battery. And that's the 21st card and the 11th card. These two right there are tied to this John 21:11. And then the cards of illumination, the typical cards in the typical poker deck, tell us another story. 21st card, what's fascinating about this, folks, there are in the deck of cards, there are only 3 cards that are the fixed cards. And what I mean by that is, when you go to this chart right here, and you look at this chart, there's only 3 cards on here that are fixed. It's the 8 clubs, the jack hearts, and the king spades. That's it. Those 3. And this scripture talks about 2 of them. the 8 clubs, which is the 888 card, and the Jack of Hearts. And Jesus starts with the letter J. Well, this is the Jack, the letter J. And the actual titles of these, from my friend Sharon, who's been doing the cards for over 30 years, this is her title of the cards. 8 clubs is mental power, material mastery, and the Jack is called sacrificial love. And when you look at those 2 cards with what's going on here, and the story, again, the story, it's kind of very fitting. It's kind of very fitting. We're going to get into that J because it's, that letter, boy. Whew. So then we get into the elements and numerology and alchemy, because the 2111, talking about the fish, we're the goldfish. Well, that's scandium and sodium. And, this quite possibly could be the Father-Son, because Jesus is sodium. I mean, Michael equals 22, and there it is. And then 21 is scandium, which is Saturn. Saturn equals 21. And we know Kronos, through the Greek mythology, that's the father of Jupiter, and Jesus is Jupiter. Zeus. I mean, even the word home, folks, is the same as Saturn. So where do we go when we go home? Where's home? Is this what it means? I mean, if we end up putting our faith in this story, do we go back to the Father, which is Saturn, Kronos? Is that what the story's telling us? And then where do we go from there? When you do the alchemy of these 2, 21 and 11, you're going to get the number 67.946. And 67 is linked to the element holmium. Now, what gets really interesting about this, folks, is that holmium is the most magnetic element on the entire periodic table. The most magnetic. And, the story is, of where this is coming from, is to cast the net and get some fish. Magnetic. What is a magnet to it? Usually it attracts. It can repel, but in this case of the story, it's saying it's collecting fish through magnetism. That's dielectricity, electricity, and magnetism. Those are the 3 things in our world. That's what makes up our world. Those 3. And holmium's the most magnetic. And this is this is what the double helix right there is tied to the GD. This is the 64th element. We have 64 possible codons in our DNA. This is tied to our DNA, folks. And I'm showing this because, see, holmium has an atomic weight of 164. It's just got another number there ruling over the 64 because it's 164. So the 64 is a subordinate to the 164. So these are connected together. And I know that story to be true because then you get into even more layers. When you add these 2 up, when you do alchemy with these, you get that number right there, and you should know what that number means. It's tied to November 18th. It's tied to a lot of big things in the esoteric world. But why that number? Well, folks, when you get into this noun right here, now in theology, in the Bible, it talks about the fallen angels. Then you get into the book of Enoch, which was never part of that. And it talks about the watchers. And then you get into other religions and they'll talk about it in a different way. So is there some merit to this? I believe so. It's super possible, folks, that we are the offspring of these characters. We're the offspring of them. These would be our mother and father. And when you do the alchemology of the word Nephilim, it's 8 letters. There are the 8 elements matching the 8 letters and numbers. When you go over to the trusty calculator and you add it up, you're going to get the number 67. So then it ties to, it's 67 and 66, master number 66, one short of 666. The 67 is tied to the 30th element, zinc. As I told you, I showed zinc in the beginning, and I said it has multiple weights. Here it is. I'm showing them. It has an atomic weight of 67. It has an atomic weight of 66. It has an atomic weight of 65. It has multiple, but the story is the 30, folks. And it goes to the, what does a fast food restaurant got to do with all this? Well, folks, the 30th card in the deck is the 4 diamonds card. And this is what I call the Jack-in-the-Box card. Because when you go, why not? To look at the Alice in Wonderland, the Alice and the Rabbit. When you go to look at Alice in Wonderland, that story and how it's tied to the rabbit, we know that the 30 is linked to the rabbit hole that we all went down or are part of. And that's what the zinc's tied to. That's what the Nephilim, the fallen angels, that story is tied to. Is going down that hole. Alice goes down the hole to follow the rabbit. And the rabbit's the 30th card, matching the numerology of Alice, matching that of zinc, matching that of the alchemology of the fallen angels titled the Nephilim. 67 and 66, there it is. Zinc carries both of those weights. So I know it has a lot of merit. So the story's starting to make sense now. 2 lost souls swimming in a fishbowl. These are the 2 lost souls, the 2 branches of our DNA. And, again, going back to the string of pi, there it is. The 30 appears in the 64th decimal digit. That's the possible codons in our DNA. And that's what leads us into the fish hook. This is what a fish hook looks like. And you put a worm on it. Typically, when I used to as a kid, and that's a whole different story. That's tied to Yaldabaoth, folks. The worm, it's called the lion worm, Yaldabaoth. But notice, Nephilim's 32, that's a link to Capricorn. That's why I have the sea goat here, the sea goat. Folks, we're in the sea of space. We're not underwater like a fish, but we're underwater, the sea of space, oxygen, nitrogen, we breathe that. Has precipitation in it. And the letter J is the 10th letter in the alphabet. This is a letter J right there, which is where Jehovah equals 30, folks. Jehovah equals 30. 30. And the letter, that's where it came, because see, the letter Y, the Yod, Yaldabaoth, Y, that's the 10th letter in the Hebrew alphabet. Well, the 10th letter in the English is the letter J, which is why Jesus was Yeshua. Yeshua's Y, then it turns into a J, which it turns into the fish hook. Jesus is a fisher of men. Is he the story about that? Are we getting fished for our energy because we're fallen angels? And Capricorn is the 10th zodiac sign. The 10th letter is the J. It's the fish hook. Folks, we're goldfish. Not literally. We're goldfish. Capricorn's the 10th sign. And then, then when you get into the Pisces, the two fish, the clock strikes midnight. Pisces is the 12th zodiac sign. And we just perhaps left that zodiac sign. Jesus came on the scene in the Piscean zodiac age. That's why the Catholic Church, they have the fish hats. And it's all about the Jesus energy. Because it's all Pisces energy. And we're either in the age of Aquarius now, or we've moved into it, or we're moving into it. But, that was all about the fishing. And, it's all about the 12, because Pisces is the 12th sign. So it's all about magnesium. And remember, folks, Wish You Were Here, the album came out on September 12th. Magnetic. Not only is it tied to manganese, magnetic, but magnesium, which is magnetic. And it has an atomic weight of 23. That's the royal star of the lion. That's the yin yang itself. And that's tied to these three words right there. Crown's 23. Pisces is 23. And blood is 23. Strong tie-ins. So, Wish You Were Here. 64. Tied to zinc. Tied to our DNA, folks. No matter what, it's tied to our DNA. What are we being fished for or as? And there it is. Magnesium is 32, the mirror of the 23. And that's a match of Nephilim. Magnetic. Magnesium. Remember, folks, the 12th card in the tarot is the Hangman card. The upside down cross. St. Peter. Remember, Jupiter is Jupiter. The upside down cross. If we were to place that card over the chakras, the feet would be at the green. The heart chakra would be going down towards the red. The lower chakras, upside down. And then, then you get into the zodiac wheel, the natal chart, because you can't leave this out, folks. This is theology, astro theology. My buddy Santos, man, it's all about it. I've learned so much from that guy. And these are the 12 signs, but this is the 13 right there. And that's your eye, folks. This is the ring. The Lord of the Rings, this is our eyeball. This is your black sun right there. If you're an astrologist, I hope you know that this is the 13 right there. This is why the number 13, it's pi backwards. Pi's 3.1, 13. But this is your eye right there. When you look in the mirror, you got two of these, because you take this chart right here, which is your blueprint of your birth, and then you take the current chart of right now and you place it next to it. And there's your two eyes, giving you an indication of what's going on in the world. And remember, the constellations, there's 88 of them, and that's Lucy in the sky with diamonds. Make no mistake about it. That's what the constellations are all about. Lucy in the sky with diamonds, 88 constellations. There's 88 keys on a piano. It's not all done. There's no coincidence there. Music and harmony and tune and vibration with the constellation. Those are the fallen angels, the stars, Lucy in the sky with diamonds. We're part of that, folks. We're part of that. That's why this is so accurate. You may not like it or accept it. Maybe you were told it was from the devil, it's bad, it's demons. But folks, it has so much accuracy. How are you to deny that? It's all part of everything. It's your I, 13. And you got 2 of them, which is 26. 13 plus 13 is 26. That's how many letters we have in our alphabet. It's tied to our blood. That's iron. Iron's 26. So we're just 2 lost souls swimming in a fish bowl. Year after year. Wish you were here. That's all I got for today. My name is Logan. This is Decoded Reality. Thank you so very much for watching.